So the climax of the week, the final between Davidenko of Russia and Hrbatý of the Slovak Republic. Well, it looks as if Davidenko is going to be serving, so Hrbatý put him in to serve, having won the toss. Best of 5 tied.
Point en manche au service, Nikolai Davydenko.
So here we go.
Net facile.
What?
15-0.
Tactics from Davidenko will be pretty similar to those he's employed throughout the week. He'll be looking to move Hrbatý around the court as much as possible. He loves to hit each and every shot into the open court. And there's a very good example of that, and that's why he likes to get as many first serves in as he possibly can, because that allows him to implement his game plan more often than not.
This is his brother, Edward, who coaches him, and their dad is sitting next to him.
And he can really create some lovely angles when he puts a little more spin on the ball rather than hitting through it when he wants to try and generate a little more pace. So he is a difficult player to play against because he takes the ball so early. It gives you very little time to actually react between shots.
Davydenko.
Nice, comfortable opening service game, exactly what you hope for always. And for me, he's played the best tennis of anyone this week. He's timed the ball beautifully, he's taken it early, as you've been talking about, driving the opponents side to side, taking it early. And there's Dad, Vladimir, really proud of his two boys, because Edward has played a prominent role in the development of his younger brother. He's 11 years older, and Nikolai went to live with him when he was 10, and then on with Edward when he got married and moved to Germany when he was 15, when Nikolai was 15.
Seconds.
Tibor Toth, who has been Hrbaty's coach for over a year. He was in Montreal last year. They started working together. There was the early ball.
And that's what makes playing against Davidenko so difficult. You always feel rushed. And if you're struggling to get your feet in the right position, it's very, very difficult to execute the shot as well as you would want it.
15-30.
And Jason, in terms of ball striking, I was making a comparison yesterday between this man and Andre Agassi. Can you see that?
Yeah, there are certainly some similarities. Both take the ball very early. Both like to hit each and every shot into the open court to make the opposition run as much of the time as possible. Both have a very underrated serve as well. Both Agassi and Davidenko move very quickly around the court. Certainly Agassi did in his heyday. And both are follically challenged.
Choosing to, that's right. The ball look seems to be very popular these days. At least there's nothing to get in the way.
Next instance.
And as I was saying yesterday, the footwork of Davidenko is exemplary, and any young players watching would do well just to watch this player. Don't watch the ball, just watch the way he moves.
Davydenko.
Well, he's dominating from the back of the court, which is something this fellow normally likes to do. The dominator, we call him.
Davydenko mène par 2-0.
But he won't be doing a lot of dominating today from the back.
It'll be hard. These two had a humdinger of a match in the Australian Open, went the distance, and there was a lot of long, hard baseline rallies. But I think on this court surface, where the ball bounces a little lower, it's not necessarily an awful lot quicker, but it's harder to get back into the rally because the ball stays low once you fall behind in it. And that will suit Davidenko.
And the other lovely thing is to see the brothers out preparing for their matches. They're happy, they're smiling, they're laughing at whatever one says to the other. It's so important to enjoy your tennis.
And that's exactly what Hrbatý was saying yesterday. He said, this is why I'm playing the game, to make it through to a Masters Series final at this stage in my career at the ripe old age of 28 is absolutely fabulous. I love playing. And for me to achieve what I've done so far this week has been absolutely fabulous.
He's trying to do to Davydenko what Davydenko's doing to him, taking that early ball on return, and on a good day he is a good returner. But this fellow was serving superbly in his earlier matches.
Likes the target, of that there can be absolutely no doubt, so Davidenko will come in a little bit but not too much.
That's
Hrbaty's first winner from the baseline. There you are, you see, it was the serve that won him the point. Got the cheap reply. Landing in the half court there, he'll never miss from there. 3-love.
I think one of the big advantages that Davydenko has coming into this match is the fact that he's played an awful lot of important matches throughout the course of this season and last season. Quarter-finalist in 2 of the Grand Slams in Australia and at the French Open this year, semi-finalist at the US Open, and therefore he's more accustomed to playing in front of huge crowds and the latter stages of events, and he's hit form at the right time. He's really been playing his best tennis in the second half of the season as opposed to the first, and he's also got a lot of tennis to look forward to. So this isn't the end of season for him by any stretch of the imagination, having qualified for the Tennis Masters Cup and the Davis Cup final. So I think he's got a lot more to gain today from winning this match, and I think he's more focused and more hungry because of that.
Quite a good crowd this afternoon. They're still pouring in through the turnstiles. We've had something like 70,000 spectators this week, a little down on other years, but then the seat prices were higher this year than last, so the revenue might be as good, but just a few down on actual numbers. Love 3.
One of the problems that Hrbatý faces when he's not playing particularly well is that he doesn't really have a plan B to fall back upon. If he's playing against somebody that is playing better tennis than he is, he finds it hard tactically to make the switch.
Can't throw the ball any higher on serve.
He could try, but it would be a lot more difficult to get the serve in, and that's one of the problems. Because it's such a high ball toss, if he doesn't have a nice rhythm when he steps up to the line, then it can be very, very hard to serve well.
No, lovely striker of the ball. He is, Rush, honestly. So clean. It's worth a look at the depth he's keeping too. Look at that, perfect. But he hasn't been allowed to settle. That's the secret of Davidenko at the moment. He's kept him on the run. He's making him doubt himself, as on that last shot. And he has an awful task here. Love 4.
Well, he can't buy a first serve. That's been the problem on serve. He's only made 3 of 10 so far, and he's only won 2 points in his 2 service games. And if you don't serve well, you certainly find it very, very difficult to play well, especially on big occasions. And Hrbatý was saying yesterday that Davidenko does have an advantage coming into the match because he's played a lot of finals. He was a winner in Moscow a couple of weeks ago. He was a winner in New Haven just before the US Open, and a winner in Sopot just a few weeks before that. So in the last few months, he's got used to winning on the final Sunday.
Well, this set is rushing away from him, and he doesn't know quite how to dig in. Well, quite frankly, the way Davidenko is playing, he won't be able to dig in. We'll have to hope for Davidenko to go off the ball. What a clever shot was that.
You don't often see that from Davidenko. That's an indication of how confident he is at the moment. He got himself in a little bit of a pickle, actually. The ball was coming into his body, so he had to come inside it, and opening the racket face at the last moment in order to do that meant that it had some nice side spin on it. It stayed nice and low, which is what the ball tends to do on this particular court.
It was the depth of the serve there that did the damage. He's shaking his head in frustration. He cannot just get a toe hold even in this set. It's 5-love for Davidenko.
Well, it's been the perfect start for Davidenko, but a nightmare for Hrbatý. But let's not forget that this is his first final of the year, and he was actually struggling for confidence earlier in the season. So much so, after the French Open, he actually played a challenger to try and get some matches and ended up losing in the final of that. But it hasn't been a successful year. He's ridden his luck throughout the course of this week, but he hasn't played great tennis. He's had a pretty decent draw, and a couple of his opponents played poorly when they played against him. He's played the odd good set here or there, but I think today he knows he's up against someone that is in the middle of playing some of the best tennis he ever has done throughout the course of his career. And I think for Hrbatý, he just hasn't made the adjustment, really, for playing in the final against somebody who's playing this well. Certainly not as yet, anyway.
Well, a whirlwind start by the Russian, and this fella up against the odds here. Well, it's like shelling peas, hitting winners at will.
Service.
Well, Davidenko has won the last 10 points. And Hrbatý, the Russian Hrbatý, has won only 4 points in the set. 3 of those were errors from Davidenko. At last. Well, I did say his best chance was to hope that Davidenko would go off the ball, and slender evidence, but for the last 2 points he has.
Well, he did yesterday, remember, so it can happen. Led Hrbatý by a set and a break before squandering that lead in the second set, and was eventually taken the distance.
Back to perfection. The depth, immaculate. Well, the crowd will get on Hrbaty's back if he doesn't do something here. They're cruel, these French spectators. We saw what they did to young Monfils when he lost his match. G-Rock can at last nod with approval. He hasn't been able to do that very often today. What relief.
Davidenko mène par 5 jeux à 1.
You probably saw a little skip of determination there after holding serve at last. (5-1). Of course, the terrifying thing for Hrbatý here is that Davidenko says really clay is his best surface.
It is a little scary, isn't it? But I think he's improved a lot on all of the other surfaces in the past couple of years, apart from grass. He's yet to master that one. Got a horrendous record on that surface, but on all of the others, he's been very, very consistent.
Look at that early ball again doing its damage.
And that's why I think he's got a lot better playing indoors and on a hard court, because he likes the fact that the ball bounces truly and he can take the ball nice and early. Sometimes on clay it's not always possible to do that because the ball doesn't bounce perfectly each and every time, so it is harder to take the ball early on that surface.
And the bedrock of his game this week has been that serve. That's his first ace at 2-11, but it has brought him to triple set point. Oh, what a pity. Previous shot from Hrbatý, so good, one of his better shots from the back of the court, and he wastes it all missing the smash. So there goes the set, one of the quickest this week, 21 minutes, and it's Davydenko ahead, 6-1.
Couldn't wish for a better start, and you could tell when they were actually tossing the coin that Davidenko was all business. He knows that this is a golden opportunity, and were he to win a Masters Series event, I think that would do wonders for his image, and it would take him to that next level. He's not a household name as yet. Tennis enthusiasts know how good a player he is, but were he to win a Masters Series event, that would certainly help his popularity. Served absolutely superb throughout the set, lost just 2 points on his serve, in fact, one on the first serve, one on the second, and he took advantage of the big points by converting 2 of his 3 break points. A disaster for Hrbatý. He needs to serve an awful lot better than that. 44% simply will not cut it against Davidenko in the final of a Masters Series event. So he has to start with the serve, and he has to then cut out the unforced errors. Otherwise, it's going to be a very quick final.
Well, great joy among the spectators at least, if not for Hrbatý. We had a Mexican wave going around the stadium. And Cédric Mourier trying to quieten them. Second set.
0-40.
Well, he can't afford to fall behind a set and a break. Davidenko, generally speaking, is a pretty good front runner.
Lots of mutterings going on here. Small wonder. Already facing 3 break points. Oh, there it goes. You can see the despair on the man's face now. What do you do? Set and 1 love, a breakdown already in the second set.
Well, it's not possible to compete at the highest level if you don't serve well, and that's been the problem for Hrbatý, because it doesn't matter what your game plan is, you use that really as the basis of your game plan. And throughout the match so far, he's only won 7 points in total on serve. The red balls on your screen are the points he's lost, the blue balls are the points he's won. The serve simply isn't accurate enough. He's not getting as many first serves in as he should or that he needs, and it's been a nightmare for him so far.
Well, until this moment, I think Hrbatý is probably expecting to give a very good account of himself, perhaps expecting to win this match, but I think he's had such a jolt. One sympathises. He was trying the right thing, trying to take it early and become aggressive, but timing's all right.
Mesdames et messieurs, le Davydenko conteste l'annonce faute faite sur la ligne de fond.
There's a challenge, and it is long.
Strange, those challenges on the baseline so early in the set.
Dropped his guard momentarily here. Well, now here is something unexpected, a break point against the Russian.
Égalité.
Well, Davidenko was a set in the break-up yesterday against Hrbatý, lost his concentration a little bit, allowed the Spaniard back into the match. And if he hadn't got injured towards the end of the second set yesterday, who knows whether Davidenko would have made it through to the final or not. Well, Hrbatý did exceptionally well there. He was under the cosh. There was a lovely change of pace midway through the rally from Davidenko. And Hrbatý did well to stay in the rally as long as he did before he eventually drew the error.
What a difference a break of serve would make to his morale. But again, that unobtrusively good serving from Davidenko taking its toll. Wonderful.
He's making 3 out of every 4 first serves at the moment, and that's making life very difficult for Hrbatý.
Net. Premier service.
Quite satisfied with things so far, I would think. His brother and his father.
Avantage Davydenko.
There's no question that the shine has gone from the Russians' game, and Hrbaty's desperate to take advantage of it. If he can just get this break back straight away, we might find ourselves with a match.
Well, he's made 6 unforced errors, Davidenko, in this set already, and only made 5 in total in the whole of the opening set.
Avantage Davydenko.
Unfortunately for Hrbatý, that serve is still penetrating as it has been all week.
Jeu Davydenko.
Making Hrbatý play another ball from right on the baseline. So he's going to change his racket by the look of it. It was a string broken. I think it's probably all to do with the ball change which happened a couple of games ago.
It's interesting when you mention change of racket. He says that that's what really was the catalyst for him starting to play an awful lot better. He changed it in the spring of last season to that particular model, and since then he's never looked back.
Love to.
0-15. 0-15.
There's Andre Chesnikov, Russian, who was their #1 player for a while. Just putting his phone away. That's what he should be doing. Chesnikov, incidentally, lives now in Moscow. Lives now in Paris rather than Moscow, and was a semi-finalist at Roland Garros one year. Fine player he was.
Well, that's a brilliant shot from Davidenko. One of the problems that Hrbatý has is that he prefers to play the majority of his tennis from the back of the court. But so far in the match, Davidenko's won 25 points from the baseline, Hrbatý just 10. So here he's trying to mix things up. He's trying to come into the net, but it's not his natural game plan. And so he didn't quite get into the net quickly enough.
It's just too good, no question about it. Very Agassi-like this. Good front runner Agassi was, so too is Davidenko. Got his man where he wants him, and he's keeping him down. 3-love and 2 breaks.
Well, it's been a magnificent performance so far. Just a little glitch in that previous service game from Davidenko, but that apart, it's been superb. And Hrbatý's still struggling, not getting anywhere near as many first serves in as he would want, and they're totally ineffective when he does. And that's because Davidenko's returning so aggressively. He's standing right on the baseline to return the first serves. Those are the yellow balls on your screen there. And the contact point to return the second serves is even more aggressive, well inside the baseline for the majority of those. And that's allowing him to dictate play from the back of the court. And it's hard for Hrbatý to get back in the rally when that happens. On the other hand, Davidenko is getting a lot of first serves in, and they are very, very effective. He's winning over 80% of the points when that first serve goes in, and Hrbatý is having to return serve much further back behind the baseline, which means he's taking a much more defensive position throughout the course of the rallies.
Well, when you're playing this well, it's frightening sometimes. He had a lapse yesterday. A lot of players do. Keeping up this level is not the easiest thing. It's a matter of mental control as much as anything else. 3-love, 2 breaks. There is such a thing, you know, as winning too easily. Relentless. That's what a good match player always is and should be. Just another one. How many points has he actually won as opposed to errors from his opponent?
Well, not many, because he's been making a lot of unforced errors and also forced errors. That's what you often don't take into account as well, the fact that Davidenko's bossing these points from the back of the court, and Hrbaty's been forced into error no less than 14 times.
In fact, the wretched Hrbaty's actually won himself only 3 points. The others that he's won the points on have been Davidenko errors.
Out.
Like that.
45. Davydenko.
An absolutely terrific performance this. And I don't honestly think Hrbatý knows what to do.
Well, he's got no chance to compete if he doesn't get more first serves in. He can't continue to give Davydenko all these looks at his second serve, because the Russian likes to take the ball early, and that allows him to boss the majority of the points. If you don't serve well, it's a real struggle to play well. He's only made 3 first serves in this second set, and only 10 in total throughout the entire match so far.
Poor old Tibor suffering along with his man here. But not a lot he can do.
Well, that was better. He took a bit of pace off that first serve to get it in, and that allowed him to earn a cheap point. He's got to do something, because that first serve percentage is diabolical at the moment. And again, sensible. Only 158k. He knows that he has to get a few more first serves in. He cannot keep giving Davydenko looks at the second serve. And it's worth taking the odd risk on the second serve. Not a problem if you serve the occasional double fault, but what you can't do is just roll the ball into the court and expect to live with somebody like Davydenko.
Well, what a relief. Rather like the pattern of the first set. He was 2 breaks down then before he finally won his serve. So 4-1 for Davydenko.
Well, he's a very positive character. That is a big plus, because you saw when he won his serve there was some positive body language. He was moving quickly to the chair, so he won't believe that he's out of this match. Indeed, when they played their last match at the Australian Open earlier this year, Hrbatý led by 2 sets to love, and Davydenko came back to win in 5. So Hrbatý knows it can be done, and what he'll be trying to do is just build on that service hold. And he's very sensible in that last game, took a bit of pace off the first serve, made sure he got more of them in. And even though he's only serving at about 150, 160k, that matters, because Davydenko won't have the aggressive mentality when returning a slow first serve that he would have when returning an even quicker second serve. So that was a good tactical switch by Hrbatý in that last game.
Almost a stunned silence. The president of the French Tennis Federation, though, ready when the time comes to help in the presentation of the prizes, must be wondering what on earth Davydenko had for lunch.
I'm wondering where on earth those French finalists are.
Yes. 6-1, 4-1. I think he had lamb for lunch, don't you?
Must have done. Although it doesn't look like he eats much at the best of times, does it? But fairly races around the court. Played a lot of tennis too. interesting attitude too when you think about how many tournaments he plays. This is Davidenko's 31st tournament of the year, and very few top 10 players play that much tennis. And when his brother was asked why he plays that many tournaments, he said it's very simple. The more tournaments he plays, the more money he earns. It's a business. That's what we're doing it for.
And a very successful one. Well, my lasting impression of this man is this man scrambling vainly often at wide balls. And Davydenko mostly hitting smooth winners.
Well, there's two ways you can put your opponent under pressure. One is to hit the ball hard and fast to make life difficult for them. The other, if you don't want to try and create that kind of pace from the back of the court, is to take the ball early. Both ways work very well when you're trying to take time away from your opponent and make them rush.
That is sublime.
But he loves to change direction on the ball, and when he's playing well, that's one of the reasons why he's very, very difficult to play against, because any other player here would probably have been looking to play a defensive shot from that position in the court, but such is his level of confidence that he felt he had a good chance to make it, even though he was going over the high part of the net and didn't have that much court to head into. And again, the ball is so early. Hrbaty's moving to his left. He's expecting Davidenko to let the ball come to him a little bit, so he thought he had a bit more time to get set, but Davidenko wasn't having any of it. He was right on the baseline when he hit that backhand, and very sensibly going back behind, varying his tactics just enough. The downside, of course, to the way that Davidenko likes to play is if he's playing poorly, he's going to be taking risks the majority of the time by going up the line, and he does tend to make a few unforced errors. But when he's playing well, it's absolutely devastating.
Well, this really is a vintage performance. Make a mental note. Agassi has never played better than this. Thank goodness for Hrbatý that he was able to get a bit of luck. That ball sitting up nicely for him off the net. There hasn't been much luck his way. And you know, that's only the 4th point he's won on his own merits in the entire match, and the first in this set. But almost predictably, the ball finds its way into the net from Hrbatý to give the Russian here a set point.
Égalité.
it's good. Well done. He so badly needs a confidence-building shot or two like that. And I think you'll see that was right on. It was.
Égalité.
It's been a disaster, really, for Hrbatý. He just hasn't been able to implement his game plan at all. Just 4 winners in total and a massive 24 unforced errors.
And the early ball again does the damage, forcing it wide. And a second set point.
Égalité.
And there's his first ace of the day. Could not have come at a better moment, could it?
Net, second service. S'il vous plaît. Avantage Hrbatý.
And you can see how much the crowd want to see a real fight here, but they're being denied. Oh, dear.
Égalité.
Just when you think he might get a toe hold into one of the sets. Not an error. Longest game of the match and his best performance so far.
Well, this game's longer than the opening set. Nice movement into the net there from Hrbatý. Hasn't come in that much, only 5 times in total, 3 times in this second set, but he's won 2 of those points here.
Net, premier service.
Well served. An improvement. And he may be clutching at straws, but at least he's got his toe hold in at last. 5-2 though for Davidenko.
Well, Hrbaty's done well, and he has significantly improved the first serve percentage, and that was very, very important. In the opening set, it was languishing in the low 40s. Here in the second, he's made 61%, and he's winning almost 50% of those points. So it has to start with the serve. It's a nightmare for any player when they start a match as important as this one, and they just cannot buy a first serve. So now that he's started to serve a little better, he'll hope that he's going to be able to put a little bit more pressure on Davydenko. It's been a pretty good second set, not quite as good as the opening set, but that would have been very, very hard for him to achieve because it was almost a faultless performance the first 21 minutes of the match. But what he needs to do now is maintain his concentration, hold serve, and he'll only be a set away from a famous victory.
It's these moments that are sometimes pivotal when you're serving for a set. If you can do it cleanly while you surge on to better things in the third set. If you falter, well, sometimes things do go wrong.
Ouais. Ramasseur, tu veux prendre une serviette, elle est suffisante, s'il te plaît? Bah peut-être pas la sienne, prends une serviette dans l'installateur. Merci.
Well, you may laugh at this, but it's important to keep that surface dry because the foot slips on a wet court.
Merci.
That could be dangerous. Remembering, of course, that Davidenko will be in Shanghai.
Agassi.
He's only got himself to blame, obviously. He's making Hrbatý sweat as much as he is in the course of the match by making him move as much as he has. It's nicely done. Lost his concentration on the first point. Recovered well.
4 aces now. Well, one has to keep underlining the point. It's the serve that's doing all the damage. That last winner very easy because the return was so short. 2 set points. Overruled immediately by Cedric Maria. That can be challenged by Davidenko if he wants to, but he doesn't want to apparently. Well, he's keeping a phenomenal length. He really is forcing Hrbatý into error again in under the hour, 58 minutes. He has pocketed the first and second sets. 6-2 the second.
Well, absolutely fantastic performance so far by Davidenko. Lost his concentration a little bit in his opening service game of that second set, where he allowed Hrbatý 2 break points, having just broken himself. But thereafter, he never really looked back. Hrbatý did improve his performance, though. He got more first serves in. That was a lot better. That's certainly something that he needed to do. They weren't as effective, though, as he would have hoped. And that was because he was having to take a lot of pace off that first serve, and so obviously it's not going to be quite as effective. What he'll hope to do now is to add a bit of pace to that serve and for them to be even more effective. But it's not just the unforced errors there, which were relatively equal, it's the forced errors that you often have to take into consideration. Hrbatý with 12 of those and Davidenko with just 1. So it's definitely the Russian who is still bossing the vast majority of the points.
More Davidenko winners for you to enjoy. A whirlwind performance so far by the Russian number one, who has struck the ball with great precision and confidence, as he has done all week. One has noted earlier this week that he was playing the best tennis, and he has continued in that vein. Here's the third set. Cross your fingers here hard. We've got 3 game points to win his first service game of the set. That hasn't happened yet.
Hrbatý.
Well played, Hrbatý. Well, now that surely will lift his spirits.
Well, you'd hope so, because he simply has to start serving more effectively than he did do in the first 2 sets. Otherwise, he's got absolutely no chance of winning the match. And the problems are obvious. He's not getting enough first serves in, only 54%. But remember, in the first set, that was languishing in the low 40s, and it's nowhere near as effective because the accuracy of the serve is so poor. The yellow balls on your screen there are the first serves, and you can see he's not going anywhere near as close to the line as he would want, and the depth on the serve, especially when he goes up the middle, is awful. And the quality of the second serves too, even though he's trying to vary it, those are the black balls on your screen there, nowhere near as good as he would want it. That's why Davidenko has had so much success in breaking his serve.
Solid as a rock, the serve has been. Very like Agassi, that.
And it's easy to take for granted how cleanly he's hitting the ball from the back of the court. It is not easy to change direction on the ball, and he's doing it at will, off a good length shot from Hrbatý. Control over the ball is absolutely superb. And he really is putting Hrbatý under a lot of pressure. He's forced him to run 28% further throughout the course of this match so far.
At this rate, I think Hrbaty's going to finish at 5'6".
Well, it's funny because Hrbatý was asked yesterday whether he thought it was an advantage for Davydenko coming into the final, having not played that many tough matches this week. And he said he thought it was, because obviously he's going to be fresher. given that he doesn't move that much during the matches that he wins, then he couldn't be any fresher at the moment. It's Hrbatý that's struggling.
Sergans.
Well, that's so typical of all that's gone before today. This man standing in the middle of the court, rather like a squash player commanding the centre of the court, and his opponent scurrying around the sidewalls. Same thing's happening here to Hrbatý. Well, what do you do? What do you do?
Well, that's been the problem for Hrbatý. Because he's served so poorly, he's now had to take pace off the first serve. That one's only 160k, and Davidenko started to anticipate that fact, and he's now stepping up the court to take the first serves early, as if there were second serves. Brilliant.
Well, they are, really.
Well,
that was the one serve that was working well for him the other day, that slider.
Égalité.
Oh, it's brilliant. Because Hrbatý is anticipating Davidenko going into the open court, so he's racing to his left here. And Davidenko feels the time is right just to mix things up a little bit. And that's the beauty of someone that's playing confidently, selecting the right shot at the right time to be most effective.
Well, a desperate saving lunge at that overhead. And he did awfully well to keep it as short as he did.
Didn't he just? Really needed this point, and it had a lot of fizz on it, that lob. That's why it was difficult to move back to it and swing fully at it.
S'il vous plaît. Avantage Hrbatý.
Well, that's terrific morale-boosting play from Hrbatý, his second ace of the day. He's smiling to himself as he moves ahead in this third set, 2-1. Well, the crowds this week have been down a little on previous years, about 70,000, roughly, just under that, in fact, for this week's tennis. And this stadium seats nearly 13,000, so you can see we haven't had full houses of the 7-day event. But what we have is a lot of young people, not all as young as this, but we've had lots of school parties here early in the week. We saw busloads of them with their teachers, all marching in, clutching their lunch bags, having a whale of a time and making a lot of noise and contributing hugely to the atmosphere. And that's the sort of age you want to be to come and start watching the great players. You learn so much. So an encouraging scoreline for Hrbatý, but the discouraging fact is that in the 20 years of this tournament, no man has lost the first 2 sets and then come back to win the title. You see how the shot that makes the opponent turn quickly and go back where he's come from is so effective. The wrong footing shot. Speeding ball boys. The ball boys this week have been absolutely tremendous. All young tennis players.
They're the best in the business, this lot, aren't they? Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the best thing you could always say about the ball kids is that you didn't notice them. That means they're doing their job superbly well. That is served well. Look at this. Right on the target.
Hasn't lost a point in this set when the first serve's gone in. He's 6 for 6. He's making 75% of those first serves. And overall in the match, he's almost at 70% with that first serve, so it's phenomenal stuff.
The difficulty when you're playing this well is to keep the run going and not to lose concentration. He lost it a little bit on that last shot, you see. A bit casual. The seats on cloud 9 sometimes are a bit slippery.
It's an interesting point, because Hrbatý was saying yesterday that he felt the longer the match went on, the more chance he would have of winning it.
Avantage Davidenko.
But that relentless serve, time after time after time, it forces the error. One now knows just how Christoph Rokas felt. There it was again, you see. 209. Okay, perfectly placed. Forced the error.
Christoph's still cycling his way back to Belgium, isn't he?
Yes, poor man didn't win the game. If you missed our earlier remarks about previous matches, that was his first match here this week, Davidenko. Love and love, Christoph Rockers. There aren't many of those in Master Series events.
Serve 15.
Well, he's making Hrbatý work so hard for every point that he wins here. You have to chuckle, don't you? So audacious, that returning of serve.
Well, again, there's only 157k on the serve. In order to get more first serves in, Hrbaty's had to take the pace off it, and Davydenko's starting to read that now and take full advantage of it.
Not the time to shoot yourself in the foot. Well, that tells all, that look of resignation and frustration. Nothing's working today. And there's the first break in this third set. It's Davydenko, 3-2.
Well, it's the tactics that Davydenko's adopted on the return of serve that have been so successful. 5 breaks of serve so far, 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and he's garnered his first here in the third. He's standing right up the court to return the first serves. Those are the yellow balls. That's where he's contacting those first serve returns, and even more aggressive on those second serve returns. So Hrbatý simply hasn't been able to get as many first serves in as he would have wanted, but it's been the aggressive tactics that Davydenko has employed when returning the serve that has worked very favourably for him. He takes the ball so early, and more often than not he's looking to return up the line, and that allows him to dictate play. Look, the position he's standing inside the baseline, a good 4 or 5 feet inside it, and it's hard to defend against. Look at the intensity of the concentration on the shot. Hrbatý totally taken by surprise by how early Davydenko has taken those returns. It's been a superb performance so far.
Well, that scoreline correctly reflecting the difference between these two on the day. Davydenko here has been almost flawless, and hard as Hrbatý has tried, there has been no way in to the match, really. The dominator is being dominated. 3-2. Well, we might as well just check for ourselves whether that was right. Yes. Well now, here's another great point. He's only had 2, hasn't yet broken.
Premier service.
Dear, oh dear. Nothing is working today, is it? Even the net's against him.
Well, I don't think he's aggressive enough on the return with his position in the court. Not moving up there to take the ball early, he's allowing the ball to come to him, and then he's trying to muscle the ball to generate the pace. Davidenko's doing exactly the opposite, moving up the court, taking the ball early, and therefore he doesn't have to swing as hard at the ball for the return to be as effective.
That was a good length return. Forced the error for once. Come on, says Tibor. You can do that again. Well, this rather like the second game of the second set. Davidenko there was a break point down for the first time after serving his first double fault, and another after deuce. But as then, saved them both.
That's the first serve that's coming to Davidenko's rescue. He's won 11 of 13 points so far in this set when the first serve's found its mark, and 36 of 43 overall in the match. It's phenomenal stuff.
Well, I think you can see the bewilderment on his face, why he should do that at this point. To give his opponent a third break point here. Only he knows.
Égalité.
Oh, that angle again. But signs here that his concentration has just slipped a little. Hrbaty's got to cling to the hope that it'll get a little worse. And it might. And remember, Hrbatý hasn't broken this man's serve once so far.
Égalité.
Well, you get the sense that this is his last chance, really, don't you? It's a very important game for him. If he does break, he might be able to start to build some momentum in this third set, but if Davydenko holds, then surely that'll be pretty much all she wrote.
Well, I suppose we should have expected something like that after a faltering game in which he saved 4 break points. An ace. And another virtuoso, good, unreturnable. So he steadied the ship, kept the concentration just tight enough, even though it was faltering, and he's 4-2. This likely to be one of the quickest finals, if this goes on, that we've ever seen in the 20 years of this tournament.
15-0.
I think the quickest was in 1996, Enquist against Kafelnikov. I think that took just about 1 hour and 31 minutes. This one we've been going for about 1 hour and 27. So Kafelnikov's, or Davydenko rather, has got 3 minutes to wrap the match up.
Unlikely to happen.
All Hrbatý can hope to do now is to simply hold serve, to try and put as much pressure as possible on Davydenko and hope that he gets another flurry of chances like he got in the previous Davydenko service game.
Well, that's been a good shot for him today. The forehand, look at that. 11 clean winners and lots more that have forced an error from Hrbatý.
Well, Hrbaty's been forced to go ever closer to the lines from the back of the court. He's lost the vast majority of the rallies from the baseline. And when you do go closer to the line, when you do start to force the play, it means that you've got a much better chance, obviously, of making even more unforced errors. And that's been the problem, I think, for Hrbatý. He just hasn't been able to win as many points as he would have wanted from the back of the court. He's only won 31 in total. Davydenko's won 53, and Hrbatý hasn't been able to change those tactics. He hasn't tried to come into the net. He hasn't tried to serve and volley. He's just stuck at the baseline, losing point after point.
Well, what can you say? Hrbatý had to decide to go one way or the other. He guessed wrong.
But coming in cross-court, though, is lethal against somebody like Davidenko. You give him the option of going into the open court if he wanted to go up the line, or he can simply choose to go back behind you as you race to try and cover the line. Poor tactic from Hrbatý.
So there is another break. The end is nigh. Well, it may not yet be another break. We'll see. I think it is, in fact, but there is a vain challenge here, a desperate challenge. Yes, quite well long look. And no change to the score. It is 5-2 for Davidenko.
Well, Davidenko will be pleased, obviously, with the way he's played. He'll be delighted with the score at the moment. Now he's just got to hold his nerve to win his very first Masters Series Shield. It was Thomas Berdych who was successful here last year. He took advantage of the fact that Federer and Nadal weren't in Paris. This year, Tommy Robredo took advantage of that in Hamburg, and Andy Roddick took advantage of it in Cincinnati when Federer and Nadal lost early on in the tournament. But I think this win, if Davidenko is indeed successful here in the next few minutes, will do wonders for not only his confidence but also for his profile within tennis and also outside of the sport, because he's been a phenomenally consistent player now for 2 seasons. He's top 5 in the world, but very few people outside the sport care about him, and that's a shame.
Well, this is the moment that Davidenko has been dreaming of for a while now. Never before ever reaching even a final of a Masters Series event, and here he is poised on the brink of the first victory in one. What a defining moment in his career this would be, serving for the championship. And I'm pleased for Davidenko, because throughout the week he has played the best tennis of anybody. He's hit the ball cleanly, he's timed it beautifully, he's run like a stag, he's served well always. And it's very fitting that he's about now, I think, to take his prize.
And I've loved the hunger that he's shown throughout the week when so many of the top players in the world chose not to play here for whatever reason. He's been the one that's his sole focus since the beginning of the week has been able to come here and win. And I think one of the reasons for that is that he's also got a lot of tennis left to play in the season. He's talked all week about the fact that he loves that they're playing on a court here and with the same balls that they're going to use in Shanghai for the Tennis Masters Cup, and that also they're going to use for the final of the Davis Cup in a few weeks' time.
They'll be hosting Argentina in Moscow. So there's a challenge here from Davidenko. He thinks he's served an ace. If he has, it'll be match point. If he hasn't, it'll be a second serve. And he has. It's match point. With that 7th ace today. Championship point for Davidenko. Well, you may be quick, but you don't get to those. Just the luck that Hrbatý badly needs. Touched the net, so he lost the point. Oh, wait a minute, he's just twisted an ankle. He stumbled, going for what he thought was a surprise return ball off his smash.
Players have talked all week about how tacky the court is. Remember all those problems they had in Shanghai last year? The court surface is exactly the same. Look at that, on the little right ankle there. Just managed to stop it at the very last second, so he didn't actually go over on it, but a nasty moment for him nonetheless.
We call that a tweaked ankle. It's deuce. Just going for a little too much there, Hrbatý. As indeed he must if he's going to produce a miracle here, but in fact it's the second championship point for Davidenko. That's done it. Well, one can only guess at the emotions he's feeling right now. The satisfaction of achieving at last a victory in one of the major titles of the year, the last, in fact, the BNP Paribas Masters here in Paris. A first Masters crown for him, delight in the family, his brother who's coached him since he was a kid, and his dad there who's encouraged him from the start. For Davidenko, it's been a triumph all week. He wins 6-1, 6-2, 6-2 in an hour and 38 minutes. Well, Jason, when you see somebody fulfilling a dream, you feel happy for them.
Well, you have to, and he thoroughly deserves it. He's the guy that plays more tournaments than anybody else, especially out of those players ranked inside the top 10. This is his 31st event of the year, and he's run into form at just the right time. He's been playing really well indoors. He was a winner in Moscow a couple of weeks ago, and he's got an awful lot still to play for. He'll go into Shanghai feeling very, very confident. And of course, after Shanghai, irrespective of how he does there, he's going to lead Russia into the Davis Cup final in Moscow. So it's been a phenomenal year for him already, and it could get even better.
Well, absolutely wonderful moments, these in any player's career when you win a major title. And look at the stats here. He was dominant on serve, he was dominant from the back of the court, and he made relatively few unforced errors.
And what more can you ask? Hrbaty's problem was that he started the match serving so poorly. He was at 40% of first serves in the opening set, had his serve broken twice the first two service games that he played, and that's terrible for the confidence. Lost his first two service games in the second set as well, and you're absolutely right, Davidenko was totally dominant from the back of the court. He won 59 baseline points. Hrbatý just over half that amount, 34, and it was the forced errors as well as the unforced errors. So they're relatively equal at 39 and 38, but the forced errors were very, very different. Hrbatý was forced into error 30 times, and Hrbatý only managed to force Davidenko into error 11 times. So it was a sublime performance from the Russian. He played well all week, and he's playing his best tennis at the end of the season when a lot of the other best players are a little jaded and falling over the finish line. So he would be a good outside bet for Shanghai.
He certainly would. And let's just relish the moment once again with him. And the joy coursing through his veins now must be considerable. And the little sign of the cross and a kiss of the charm that he wears around his neck. Well, that's a great moment. He'll remember this all his life. He hasn't yet achieved anything at this level in the Grand Slams, but who's to say he won't? He's the 5th best player in the world. His brother and his father right behind him there. And Marc Moret now will bring onto the court the official party for the presentation. So Christian Beam and David Douillet of BNP Paribas Masters coming on of
Finaliste de ce BNP Paribas Masters 2006 à la deuxième finale en Masters Série, le Slovaque Dominik Hrbatý.
So as is customary, the losing finalist comes forward first. He'll be receiving a cheque for €189,000. As well as the Waterford crystal plate. There it is.
Vainqueur de ce BNP Paribas Masters 2006, Nicolas Davidenko.
And a great cheer for this very popular Russian, who now he's made this career breakthrough, perhaps will become more recognized around the world. Receiving first the tree designed by the famous sculptor Fonti, and along with it will come the Waterford Crystal Shield, such a prized possession on any tennis player's mantelpiece.
À tous les vainqueurs des Masters Série dans le monde.
Here it comes, the shield, presented by Christian Beam. And when you think that Andre Agassi, whose game his so much resembles, has won 17 of them. He's got a way to go, but it's a start.
I didn't speak French, I just start English.
Je ne parle pas français, je vais parler en anglais.
I want congratulations, Dominic. Reach final here. It's, I think it's for him also important to coming to top 20, finish and starting again next year.
Je voudrais féliciter Dominique, c'est très bien ce qu'il a fait, ça va lui permettre de rentrer dans le top 20 et bien commencer l'année 2007.
And second, I want to thank my coach, brother, my future's wife, and
Je voudrais remercier mon entraîneur, mon frère et puis ma future femme.
and thank you, my friend Leonid, and my family here. What I want to say, it's for me like last tournament here, and like okay, I need to go to Shanghai next week, but like good confidence winning here tournament, like say like winning after Federer winning so much matches, like so many matches here this year.
Oui, je voudrais dire que c'était mon dernier tournoi, c'est superbe, même si je dois aller en Shanghai, de terminer comme cela cette superbe année, c'est très bien.
I want to thank. I want to say thank you, sponsors Paribas, and we have Mobile, Sagem, and I don't know, like it's so many sponsors here, I cannot tell everybody.
Je voudrais remercier tous les partenaires, tous ceux qui aident à ce que le tournoi soit organisé. Merci, il y en a tellement. Merci beaucoup.
And thank you very much who is coming to the final. It's like, I know it's like no French players in the final was in singles, but thank you very much for supporting in the final for me. Thank you.
Je voudrais
I have to say congratulations to Nikolai. I just felt like sometimes I play maybe like power play in the football 11 against 9. But he was 11, I was 9 of course.
Je voudrais féliciter Nicolas d'avoir réussi cette superbe finale. Des fois, j'ai l'impression vraiment avoir des difficultés face à lui.
Yeah, he played too good today for me, and I did the best I could. I fight all the way down till the last point for you people, but sorry, it didn't work out.
Il a trop bien joué aujourd'hui. Je me suis battu le plus possible comme cela, mais c'était vraiment trop dur.
I'd like to say for the season, thank you to all people who works around me, for my coach, my parents.
Je voudrais remercier vraiment tous ceux qui m'ont soutenu, mon entraîneur bien sûr, mais vous tous.
Thank also my girlfriend and basically anybody who works in tennis. I love this game and this is my life and I enjoy playing it, so I hope to see you in many years again.
J'adore ce jeu, c'est vraiment mon sport. J'adore jouer à ce jeu. Vraiment terrible.
And the last, of course, I would like to say thank you to all the sponsors, Ball Boys, Chair Empires, basically everybody who worked for the tournament. I always like to come down to France. I had basically the best memories of my tennis from here, so thank you for everything.
Je voudrais remercier tous ceux qui ont permis l'organisation, remercier les ramasseurs de balles, les jeux de ligne. J'adore venir en France. J'ai vraiment les meilleurs souvenirs de tennis ici en France. Merci.
Very emotional. Hrbatý here, clearly feeling the pressures today, but doing, as he said, all that he could.
Voilà, Nicolas va également prendre le flanc pour d'autres photos. On va terminer cette 20e année de tennis ici à Bercy avec vous pour cet anniversaire en invitant les joueurs qui ont participé tout à l'heure à la finale du double. Les Français, on voudrait les associer avec Nenad Zimonjic, les vainqueurs pour ceux qui n'étaient pas là tout à l'heure, Arnaud Clément, Michael Lodra et les finalistes.
Well, rather nice that on this 20th anniversary meeting, the doubles players, who of course have already received their trophies after their win earlier, are brought back for the photographs and all the fun of the finish here. The balloons are falling from the roof and a very festive atmosphere building here. On this 20th anniversary, Christian Beam, the president of the French Federation, standing there with the singles winner, the singles finalist, and the doubles winners. Great triumph there for Arnaud Clément and Michael Lodra, who beat Santoro and Zimonjic earlier today to claim the doubles crown. And a small matter for Davidenko of 378,000 euros to add to his present career earnings. Obviously, the serious business of Shanghai and the Davis Cup will be much in his mind from tomorrow onwards, but for today, the time is right for celebration. Jason, I think we've seen an establishment today of a truly wonderful baseline in the Agassi mould in Davidenko.
No doubt about it. He's now the number 3 player in the world, and deservedly so. He's very, very consistent on all the court surfaces. Clay probably his favourite, but he plays well on hard courts. He was a winner in New Haven before the US Open. He's starting to do well in the Grand Slams now. Indoors, he's obviously a formidable force. He just needs to improve his record on grass to start competing at all the Grand Slams. So I think the next thing on his agenda is to go to Shanghai and really mix it with the best players in the world. Take the confidence that he's earned this week and really see if he can start to beat Federer's and the Nadals on a regular basis next year. He's had a year of consolidation. He finished last year inside the top 5. This year he's done one better and won a Masters Series event. For him next year, I think he'll be looking to go one better still and perhaps try to beat Nadal and Federer, who have had a stronghold on tennis for a couple of years.
And it would be a wonderful thing for the game if another player, besides those we're used to acknowledging, Federer and Nadal, of course, Hrbatý and the rest, were to establish himself, and I believe he might. This is a very big career moment for him, clutching that Masters Series shield.
And I also hope that people start to appreciate just how good a player he is, and it does help his profile because he is a very, very exciting player, and he's a little underrated.
Well, he certainly is. Happy signs, happy scenes here on this 20th anniversary final. And it's been a good week, really, despite the absence of the top players. We've had some cracking good tennis, as we always do at this level. The Masters Series bringing the cream of the crop to the courts. So there it is. It's time for us to think of saying farewell. We shall, of course, be back in action in Shanghai. Hope you will join us 1 week from today when the first matches will start. It's an 8-day tournament there, and clutching the Fonty tree as well, Davidenko. What a delightful trophy that one is. So there we are. For Jason Goodall and Doug Adler, who was with us, of course, for the early part of the meeting, home now in Los Angeles. He'll be with us in Shanghai. And for the entire TPL production team, we hope you've enjoyed our coverage here from Paris, and that we can welcome you back in a week's time when we're all in Shanghai for the Tennis Masters Cup. So from all of us here in Paris, for the moment, it's goodbye.